Welcome to Pizza Marketing Masters. You have come on a really good day. We have our best show ever. Well, maybe, I can't say it's the best show, but we have Tracy Morin with us today. And Tracy Morin is our best food writer that we've ever had at PMQ, or probably the longest serving food writer that we've got. I better say that out of respect for Liz Barrett, our previous editor. But the reason we're here today is because, as you know, PMQ and you are very interested in online ordering, since it's really reshaping the pizza industry. So to make it real simple, we as an industry are really wanting to support every effort that we all have to increase our visibility and accessibility to online ordering for the independents. Domino's Pizza has moved from 9% of the market to 15% of the market by selling one pizza. And when you look at the pizza industry and all the variety and flavors and choices of pizza that are within the independent segment, we really do have the long-term advantage. Independents do, by being able to sell pizza they really want, but to sell it like Domino's Pizza digitally. So what we're thinking now, this time of the year, with World Vegan Day on November 1st, PMQ has decided to create a national promotion for pizza vegans. And we'd like you to be part of it and to sign up at pizzavegan.com/register. Go in there and you can be part of our Facebook promotion or our non-Facebook promotion, whatever your online ordering destination is. We are going to try to create a national promotion for pizza vegan if you have it on your menu. And so the next step today is to learn about the vegan customer so that we can be more successful in selling to them. And that's why I'd like to introduce to you a writer that you've known for many years, Tracy Morin. Tracy, are you there?
I am.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here today. I usually see you every once in a while. You work from home during COVID, and it's good to see you today. And so I set the stage. We really want to know how to satisfy vegan customers. And you've been a vegetarian for many years. You've done a lot of writing about pizza, a lot of writing about vegan. And I wanted you to share some of your insight with our readers to help them when we have this promotion to be able to handle and impress and how do we serve vegans pizza?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Steve, for introducing me. As Steve mentioned, I am not a vegan, but I am a vegetarian for more than 25 years. And I often eat vegan meals, as do an increasing number of people, both meat eaters and vegans and vegetarians. So I've been senior copy editor at PMQ for nearly 13 years. And in that time, I've eaten pizza and met with operators all over the globe. And I have a passion for the industry, of course, but I also have a passion for a more sustainable way of eating and different diets that are leading the way. And things have really come such a long way since I became a vegetarian 25 years ago. It's such an exciting space right now, and things are absolutely exploding. So I really want to talk just a little bit about the growth of the vegan space and some of the factors that are contributing to it right now. Now, we have seen this over years. This is not something that just came out now, but it has been steadily growing. In 2017 and 2018, the numbers of veganism rose by 600%. That's a shift. Back in April 2018, as this was happening, I covered for PMQ Pizza Magazine some protein alternatives from soy-based alternatives to vegetables and fruits like mushrooms and jackfruit. And at that time, a Boston's pizza restaurant representative told me in no uncertain terms that there has just been a major paradigm shift in consumers' eating habits. They have 25 locations, so they certainly have their finger on the pulse of what is happening in the greater consumer marketplace. Why is all of this happening? Well, consumers are definitely more educated than ever. We are a Google search away from learning anything about anything. And they're really more aware than ever about the link between what we eat and our personal health and the health of the planet. So in 2019, we see that the Plant-Based Foods Association noted that plant-based food sales had increased by 31% over the last 2 years. And at this point, we're seeing big brands, household names like Beyond Meat and Impossible Burgers. We see them at fast food restaurants like Burger King. So that's officially mainstream. It's not just a niche. Now, in a meat alternative story that I wrote in April of this year, I spoke with Daniel Levine. He's a trends expert for the Avant-Garde Institute in New York City. And he noted that plant-based options are the fastest growing sections on pizza menus today. This is a trend also reflected in all restaurants, not only pizzerias. And what used to be considered sort of a niche, vegan, vegetarian, is now gaining more acceptance when you put it under the label of plant-based. That appeals to everybody, even people who eat meat. And in fact, a research by Burke Corporation, which makes regular meat products, showed that plant-based had grown by 300% in the last year, which then incited them to create their own alternatives. Another study by ADM in Chicago noted that 44% of US consumers are now buying as flexitarian, people who eat meat sometimes and don't eat meat other times. And more meat eaters are interested in plant-based. So part of this excitement is that there have been amazing strides too in the flavor of these plant-based alternatives. They are having cleaner labels, less unpronounceable ingredients. Of course, those are still out there, but there's a lot of improving technology in this space to make these alternatives as quote unquote the real thing, and ingredient sourcing that's also more sustainable for the planet. So people really expect more now from plant-based alternatives in terms of flavor, but they also are, with those alternatives, less feeling like that they're sacrificing something or they're missing out or giving up something. They can enjoy it just as much as the quote unquote the original. So finally, I want to talk about COVID. Everybody's sick of COVID. I am. But in our September 9th newsletter that came out from PMQ, we had a study in there that said 60% of Americans started to eat a more plant-based diet since the pandemic. So this was a poll of 2,000 adults, and they cited health as the number one reason for this change. There was also a desire to eat less animal products and to lead a more sustainable lifestyle. Now, we know COVID is an animal to human disease, and I think that made people think a little bit about how our interactions with the planet can affect us in such a grand scale. Plus, there have been outbreaks in meat processing plants, and that led to interruptions in the supply chain and meat shortages. So there is a greater desire for not only personal health, but health of the planet, such as our growing concerns over things like climate change. Now, the average American eats 4 meat-free meals per week, according to one study, and 50% of them are trying to incorporate more plant-based meals in their daily lives. And I'm not a numbers person, I'm a writer, but I want to end with one stat that really blew me away. This is in the same poll that was noted in our newsletter earlier September. And it said that 39% of people ages 18 to 25 and 23% in ages 26 to 41 already exclude animal products from their diet. That really shocked me. That is a very big number. And as we know, younger people are our future. This is not a trend or a fad. This is a real shift in how we're looking at food and how we're eating. And that's why it's such an exciting space to be in right now.
Mm-hmm. So that's really great news for whenever there's change, there's opportunity. So when the world changes like that, you're in the pizza industry, are people, is there a big difference between vegetarians and vegans here? People still want pizza to taste like pizza. And, most New Yorkers would claim that meat doesn't belong on a pizza anyway. It's really a tomato product. It's a tomato pie. So, and you're from New York, right? Well, you're from New Jersey.
Close enough.
It's like Alabama or Mississippi, right? New York. So for us, we want to be able to make really great pizza. So it's okay because vegetarians can eat real cheese. Is it more of a problem for vegans? How many people are there people that don't want to eat cheese? In other words, are there a lot more vegetarians than there are vegans? What's the breakdown there? That we can satisfy the need for real tasting pizza, whether you're a vegan or a vegetarian?
Absolutely. Vegans are always going to be, well, let me not say always. I don't know. It's hard to predict the future, but vegans have traditionally been less in numbers than vegetarians. There are a lot more restrictions when it comes to vegan eating. But vegan products that emulate those animal products are, again, exploding. Pretty much anything that you could think of that would come now available in vegan form, whether it's cheese, butter, milk, there is anything that you can substitute. And so vegetarians have their own restrictions, vegans have more, but it's definitely something that I think a lot of things that apply to a vegan could also apply to a vegetarian in terms of their ethical practices or what they're looking for. And I definitely want to get into that too. I have a bunch of suggestions for our pizzeria operators on how to meet the needs of these communities.
So why are people, what percentage would you say of vegetarians are vegetarians because they love animals or they don't want to hurt animals? Is that a significant amount, or is it mostly because they believe it's healthier?
There's both. I think with vegans and vegetarians, and now this growing group of people who eat meat and want to still eat plant-based sometimes. A lot of it is ethical, some of it is health. I don't know the exact breakdowns among each of those populations in terms of what their base reasons for it, but it actually does affect how they view eating, how operators would serve each of those demographics, whether they are meat eaters or vegans or vegetarians. And I definitely have some notes on that too. We can look at plant-based versus vegan. Some people are plant-based for pure health reasons, and people can want to eat plant-based whether they're meat eaters, vegetarians, or vegans. And then there are people who are vegan for ethical reasons or vegetarian for ethical reasons, in which case they are interested in plant-based also, but they may be interested in meat alternatives that involve a certain amount of processing that people who are eating plant-based for clean eating would not be. And some meat alternatives are what you would consider processed foods, highly processed foods, and some are not. So it really depends on what you're trying to, what kind of plant-based person you're trying to reach. And it's a good idea to have something for everybody. Some people might be comfortable with meat alternatives, and some people are completely turned off by anything that looks or tastes like meat, because they just find it offensive in some way. So, it's a good idea to look at those alternative meats, but it's also a good idea to look at other protein sources that are more whole foods, like beans, legumes, soy-based things like tofu or tempeh, and even grains. So there's a lot of options for protein sources that have nothing to do with processing. And I think those are going to appeal to your plant-based consumers who are really doing it more for a health reason rather than ethical reasons. So there's a lot under this umbrella.
Well, so pizza is mostly dough, sauce, and cheese, and then it's a protein or a meat normally. So are there, if you're going to appeal to a vegan market, does any flour work? Are they all legal, or how do you feel? I get this feeling, just having gone to a bunch of food shows, that if you're a vegan, you're more into organic. Those kind of, there's a big overlap in there. So there may be some restriction on the source for flour.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
yeah.
There's definitely, you want to watch for hidden ingredients. I see a question at the bottom of the screen. People don't know that it's not vegan, and we definitely want to keep this in mind. If you're serving a vegan consumer, they're going to freak out if they find some ingredient that is not approved for their diet. So you definitely want to watch for hidden ingredients and do your research. There are some common culprits, things that people think are vegan or vegetarian that are definitely not. You want to get to know what are those off limits items, and you can look at, you can again Google search it, though you'll come up with short lists, and then organizations like PETA will have very long lists of all of the things that might be considered a problem. You could even work with a vegan consumer that maybe you have someone in your family, maybe you have an employee. You can also work with them to learn more about what things you would put on a pizza, not even knowing that it's not allowed. Things like honey or Worcestershire sauce or gelatin. None of these things are okay. Some of them aren't even okay for vegetarians. So you can tap into people in your community who are vegan also to get some feedback on what they can and cannot eat, and they can help you with your menu development. And I think it's a great idea if you have that person in your realm. They can seriously help, because they, chances are, have really done the research.
Tracy, what's for those that are wanting to take advantage of this trend and go after the vegan market, since it is really a huge change, this is a long-term strategy. How do you find vegan people? Where do you find vegan customers?
Well, actually, yeah, I wanted to talk about that in terms of communicating and reaching the vegan community. I spoke with a blogger the other day who is in Las Vegas. She is named Diana Edelman. She runs Vegans Baby. And she let me know that social media is very important to reach these people. Obviously, they want to see amazing pictures of your food. And also, vegans are really likely to share the food that they eat that's amazing on social media. So they will help spread the word for you. And there are also apparently a ton of vegan Facebook groups that you can connect with in cities and even probably towns across the country. So you want to post in those groups. Share your vegan options on Instagram with the right hashtags to get the word out. And you can also connect with vegan influencers or vegans in your community. Look around and see where are people that are health conscious located. You can look at a yoga studio or a gym, for example, or a nutritional store. You'll see that a lot of vegans and people who are interested in eating vegan have a high health focus. So think about places in your community where you might be able to find these people.
In 1998, when PMQ was just 1 year old, I hired John Carell to create a series of recipes that would legalize any of the current diets that were going on at the time. And I still remember that at the time, of the top 100 New York Times bestseller book list, 7 of them were diet books. And so there's always a healthy angle. And I don't think that's changed. I think there's probably, keto is depends a lot on protein. So there's a lot of healthy ideas. Gluten-free, there must be, that's considered to be healthy by some. The definition of healthy for others would be a keto if they want to stay on a diet. So I'm glad to know that we're on the leading edge of this, but I would have never known that if I didn't have my own food editor on staff. So I appreciate that. Do you have anything else in your bag of knowledge?
Yes.
That you'd like to share with us for the pizza people?
I do, and I'm so glad you mentioned the gluten-free people. Okay, let's talk about the gluten-free people. First of all, when gluten-free became a big deal, we said time and time again in the pages of our magazine, and it's 100% true, you serve this community, they will support you, they will love you, they will spread the word, and they will pay more. They will travel far to see you. All of these things also apply to people who are vegan. I want to talk a little bit about how to serve this customer in a better way. First of all, vegan cheese is going to be at the most basic of what you want to have. Now, any suggestions I have, obviously, go ahead and tune it for your audience, for your consumer base. Big cities might have a bigger need for this than smaller towns, whatever. But these are suggestions that anybody can implement. So, for example, like I say, at Bob, I have a vegan cheese offering. This market is exploding. Try out different varieties. It doesn't need to just be mozzarella and cheddar anymore. There are a ton of vegan cheeses, and look for new ones that come out. My vegan blogger that I talked with the other day, Diana, she mentioned that vegans are actually out there actively looking for new and exciting cheeses to try. So when you are on the cutting edge, it will bring in an audience, and new options are coming out constantly. This entire area is exploding. So you can also do the same with alternative proteins or mock meats or whatever you want to call them. Those are coming out like wildfire as well. Also, try a vegetable-based pie or a vegan pie that isn't what every single other pizzeria is serving. It feels really disappointing and lazy when operators treat their vegan or vegetarian offerings as an afterthought and something they just slop together when their meat-based offerings are so carefully and thoughtfully done. You want to take as much care with your vegan options as you would with anything meat-based. And Liz, thank you for your question, and I will get to it, I promise. So try to offer something on all menu parts. You can start with basics. For example, maybe an appetizer, a pizza, and a dessert. That's going to be okay for a vegan consumer. Creative entrees are great. Think about the things that vegan consumers are not necessarily going to make at home. I know as a vegetarian, if I see one more pasta primavera on a menu as the vegetarian option, I will scream. It is really boring and it does not excite anybody. So think outside the box, make something that people can get excited about, not just, oh, well, that's something I can eat because it's the only thing I can eat. This is really important for this audience. And back to the gluten-free people. Now, I got very jealous of the gluten-free community when all this blew up, because suddenly there was this idea of cross-contamination, that you cannot mix anything with flour with something gluten-free. Well, can we please get this going for the vegetarians and vegans out there as well? You might have heard that one vegan consumer actually sued Burger King because they were making their meat-free burgers on the same grill where they were making their meat burgers. If I go to a store and somebody's making a 6-foot tall meat sub, and uses a knife to cut it, and then uses that same knife to cut mine, that is not okay. Let's think about cross-contamination. Let's use different areas, different utensils, etc., to work with these items than we are for our meat items. And if there is, say, a big range of toppings in front of you, maybe in a fast casual setting or in the kitchen, if there's pieces of meat in your lettuce or what, it's not okay. So we really want to be conscious of cross-contamination. And when you are making those steps, please communicate them to your customers. Let them know what steps you take to keep things meat-free for them. This is going to be especially important with people who are doing this for ethical reasons. So on the menu, let's talk menu. You, at the very least, you want to call out what items are vegetarian, vegan, and maybe you might even want one that has a plant-based. You can do this with just an icon or a letter that's next to the item, so that people who have these diets can easily scan the menu and see what they can and what they can have right off the bat. If you want to go a step further, and it's better, do a separate vegan section on your menu, or do a separate vegan menu. I spoke with Paulie G, our amazing operator out in Brooklyn, who has a ton of vegan options on the menu and needs them for his consumer base. And at first he started just saying underneath a meat item, this can be made vegan. Servers forgot to mention it. Nobody paid attention to it. Nobody cared. Nobody noticed. And when he did a separate menu that was just, here's our vegan menu, it completely took off. So that's a lesson we can all learn from. Separate your vegan options, or at least put an icon or something where people know from a glance what they can have. We talked about watching out for hidden ingredients. We've covered that. Now, if you want to get, depending on how much demand you have, you might want to try your own in-house specialties that are vegan friendly. There's a pizzeria out in Denver called Hops and Pie, and they do 15 to 20% vegan sales, period, which is amazing. And they make their own in-house items, including a vegan ranch dressing, which is very simple to whip up. And of course, anything made in-house is inherently more special than something pre-bought from the consumer's point of view. Paulie G even had gotten store-bought vegan sausage at the start, and eventually changed to an in-house made seitan sausage. Seitan is so easy to make. I think it has literally 2 ingredients, one of which is water. So that is very easy to make in-house. And he does his own cashew ricotta. He's gotten a great response from these. And finally, my last suggestion, play around with your menu, experiment, look at something that's your meat-based bestseller and find out a way to make it vegan and in an exciting way. Approach your vegan items as you would anything, make it fun, think about flavor, think about color, texture, all of these things. Just because people aren't eating meat, that means they still want something that is hearty, that's filling, that's satisfying, and of course that tastes good. So do not just slap something on the menu and expect it to fly off. It will not. Put a lot of care into it.
Tracy, that's wonderful. And you left us enough time to be able to to mention that you are the official editor-in-chief of pizzavegan.com.
Yes.
And that's really something that I'm really happy we're able to do, because we'd really like to see pizza take a lead in this area. This is a chance for independents to really look different and be noticed locally through a new, very loyal and loud group of people that are enthusiastic. I think the timing is very good, and with your leadership and your connections to food bloggers and everything, I think you're ideal for establishing our website. Now, the website is going to go live on November 1st in recognition of what is it? Do you remember what day it is on November 1st?
World Vegan Day.
Yes, it's World Vegan Day, and that ties in perfectly with the opening of our vegan Pizza Vegan website. So I don't know if there's a opportunity there or not. There probably is, but at any rate, PMQ has done a lot of work on Pizza Vegan, mostly because of Tracy, and we're publishing that as one of the magnets that we're putting on Pizza Vegan. But the real magnet at Pizza Vegan is building a community of people that are interested in the intersection of pizza and vegan. And we have the smartest people in the pizza industry, They work in it. They're not at the Food Network. They're actually working in real pizzerias like you. And we'd like you to participate in this effort to really show the world that pizza and vegan are very compatible. And the idea is that if you'll hook your online ordering connection to pizzavegan.com, we'll be able to gather a market with some of our editorial, but also with not just original editorial, but creations from our readership, creations from our community. So if you've got a video, if you've got an idea, a recipe, something that you want to share to help build this community, we would appreciate it. But also register. pizzavegan.com/register is where you want to go. I think that concludes my time here. Tracy, did you disappear? I hate to just leave you there. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. And
yeah.
We're going to have some really exciting things coming up for pizzavegan.com. I want to definitely give shout outs and stories and profiles to people who are doing amazing vegan pizzas, people who have all vegan pizzerias that are vegan only.
Mm-hmm.
We want to call out products that you can incorporate into your operation, recipes that you can incorporate into your operation. So we really will have a place for consumers to connect with pizzerias, and we will also have resources and articles for both consumers and pizzerias on how we can all get on the same page, and Q&As with vegan bloggers, all that good stuff. I'm really excited about it, and thank you so much, Steve, for putting me in charge of it. I'm very happy to be.
Yep, very good. Thank you. Well, so long until next week.
Bye.
All right.